Hi class, Jolene here. Today we're going to talk about type tool options that you can use on your CD packaging project and for anything else for that matter. So we're going to go through these that I have here in this Illustrator file. I'm going to show you how to use each one of these in this tutorial, but you'll also find you'll find this document in also in Canvas. So let's get started here. So this it kind of explains how to use where the area type tool is and how to use it. It's for creating types similar to this or to this. So these directions tell you to create the shape and then use the area type tool, then click on the border of the shape and start typing. Once you have type in the shape, go to the type area, type tool options to create an inset spacing and or columns. This is a special note. Once you click on the shape, any fill color you have, such as I have behind this, the color will go away. And so you'll need to create a second shape the exact same size on the layer below it. So as I get busy demonstrating this, I think all that's going to make sense to you. So when I say first create the shape, we're going to, since this is a rectangle, I'm going to start with this and select the rectangle tool. And this will be my demonstration board over here. So I'm going to create a rectangle. Notice I have the fill on here, but what's going to happen is when I start using the area type tool, that fill is going to go away. So you'll see what happens here. So the directions tell us that once we've created the shape, then choose the area type tool, which is right here under the type tool. Click on it, and it's going to add your lorem ipsum type in there. It's just a bunch of type. But now if you want to create columns such as I've done here and here, you have to go to the type options to do that. Notice that this is all perfectly inset, the exact same amount all the way around, and that is set by the area type tool. So we go to type and area type tool options, and it brings up this dialog box. So here's where we can choose columns. Make sure you turn on preview so you can see what's happening. If I switch this to 2 columns, you see all that type has automatically gone into 2 columns. And the gutter is what this is in between the 2 columns. So if I increase the gutter, it increases that space between the 2 columns. I'll put that back down about right here. And this is where you set the inset. Tell it how much space you want around all the edges, and it does it on all 4 sides automatically. You can do other settings here. I'll let you experiment with that, but and you can also change the flow of the text, but we'll just keep it with this. This should be good for what you're going to do now for your CD. So there we have it, and now we can just click on all this type and start typing. So I'll type in the number 1. Let me get rid of that, more of that lorem ipsum. Number 1, I'm just going to copy what I had over here. Number 2, therapy session, and so on and so forth. You can change the font. You can do everything you normally do with type. Stand by, computer just froze. Let me fix it. All right, here we go. Had too many things open, so I had to close a few things. So say that's the font you wanted to use. You can change the font size, etc. inside. And so that's, if I kept typing, it would go into the second column just like this. So now if I did want to have color behind it, such as I've done here, I would need to create a second rectangle behind that one. So I'm going to go back up here to my rectangle tool, and I'll create a rectangle. I'm not going to worry about the size right now. I'll change the color to green, and I'm going to put it below. I'm going to put it below so we can see it. And now you can use this tool to adjust the shape of that so that it looks just like it did here. So the insets in the perfect right place and so forth. So that's how you do that one. Now you can use any shape to put type in. So for instance, this one, if I hover, you can see this is on a half circle. So if you want to, for instance, do this, put your type on your CD like this, I'll show you how to do that. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to create a circle here. I'll switch this as if, oops, not that. I'm going to switch this to ellipse tool, and I'll draw a circle that I might use to look like my CD. And then I'm going to create another circle inside it just to emulate the line, to create a margin so we know how far to go. So I'm just going to copy and then paste, and then make this smaller, and I will change the color of that to gray just so we know that, let me swap that out, that we know that that's the line that I don't want to go outside of. All right, now I'm going to get my layers out and lock those two so I can't move them. All right, so now if, for instance, I wanted to fit this inside that, make a, I can watch what happens when I change the size of it. Everything shifts. That's the beauty of doing it inside the type area tool. So let me show you how I made that. I'm going to use the pen tool for this. And I'll start about right here because remember, this is kind of my guide to stay inside of. So I'm going to go inside my guide. I'll click once and then come over to here. And I'll hold down my shift key to make sure I make a perfectly straight line. Then I'm going to come to where this tells me is the middle of that. When I see that pink guide there, I know that's middle. I'm going to click and drag to the left. This is what, excuse me, this is what's creating the curve, that Bezier curve. And if I hold down the shift key while I'm doing it, it will keep those guides perfectly straight and make this really nice straight line, a curve, I should say. Now I'm going to go back up and close that. And I'll just switch these, but it doesn't really matter. The minute you start using the area type tool, that's going to go away. Let me show you what I mean by that. So I'm going to go back to my area type tool, click here, and now I can start typing inside. So blah, 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 2, blah, 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 3, blah, blah, blah. And you can see how it is wrapping around. And we'll continue to do so. And then you might want to center this. So instead of right now, if you look up here at the paragraph, it's left aligned. But for something like this, you might want to have it center aligned. And then you can adjust things as you type. You can adjust the size to make it have that nice curve that fits into this shape. Okay, so that's how you do that one. Now we're going to talk about the type on a path tool. So if you want to do your song list like this, where you go around the circle, let me use the same circle we have here. I locked those, so I'm going to unlock them now. drag this down here. All right, so that's going to be the circle that I'm going to type onto. So for this one, we're going to use the Type on a Path tool. So once you've created your path, then click on it, and then you can just start typing. It's going to go around, and just like the other ones, you can change the font, the spacing, everything that you can with any other type. So let's just change that font so you can see how that works. Change the size. So depending on how many songs you have, and how far it ends up when you get to the other side. You can also drag this type around. Say you want the number 1 to start up at the top. Let me zoom in so I can see these little things that move the type around. This is where the one we want to adjust. So see, you can move that around. Until you get it where you want it. You can put it on the inside of the circle or the outside. Again, to adjust that, go to Type and Type on a Path, Options. Make sure you turn on Preview so you can see what's happening. If I click Flip here, that puts it on the outside. That puts it on the inside. These you'll probably never use, but Baseline, Ascender, you can check to see how these work for your design. So that's Type on, also the area, the Type on a Path tool, I should say. Now, here's another way to type on a path. Say for some reason you want, you have a design in which you want to create a path around it and then type on it. Again, this is where you're going to use the pen tool to create that path. So I'll just create a path, something like that, and then grab the Type on a Path tool, click on it, and start typing. And it's just going to move right along that path. And the cool thing is, if the path is not just the way you wanted it, grab your Direct Select tool, click on an anchor, and you can move those anchors to wherever you want. You can adjust the handles and so forth. So that's Type on a Path tool, also different kind of path. Now let's also talk about how you can use your regular type tool with the paragraph panel. So here you can see this is all flush left, and that's set here with the paragraph panel. You can also go directly to that panel. It's going to be under Type and then Paragraph. You can open that so you can see here how you can change it to center or align right. So this is align right or flush right, and this is center. So there's a bunch of options that you can use on your CD packaging and on lots of other things.